how important it is to keep your child busy. Is it good for a child to just be bored?
Yes. Boredom is something that sparks curiosity and also leads to creativity. So do not over schedule your child's day. And that is something that I see on a daily basis, because children, they have school from 7:30 to 2:30, then they have like a gymnastics class, then they have a parkour class, and then they have swimming, and so on and so forth. So where is the time for the child to explore something of their interest that they have chosen? Is there time? No. It is all bombarded. Like, parents make a schedule for them. So in my professional judgment, it should be a little bit modified.
So
Give
basically
your child.
balanced.
Yeah, balance.
Give
and
your
give.
2 days of exercises, whatever you want to do. Rest 4 days, just chill.
Yeah.
Sunday, spend time with family.
Yeah, like, give that space to your child where they are bored, and then they turn towards something that they want to do.
Okay.
Rather than us telling them all the time that, okay, why don't you do this and why don't you do that?
This particular object that has been created in the last 2 decades has destroyed a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
There are pros and cons to everything in life.
Yes.
A lot of pros, because I'm using this medium to get to you, but a lot of cons as well, especially for kids. The big word with letter V, it's called validation. When it comes to a child who is so naive, so innocent, and first, very happy, wow, I'm getting this. Suddenly it drops, suddenly the trolling starts, suddenly there are red capsule and blue capsules sent to you.
Yeah.
How is there a way out? How do we deal with this? Do you think, what is the right age for a child to be on social media?
I would say the parents would determine that, because they know their child best. They know when they are also ready to handle that kind of a situation. Yes, what we see around us now is anywhere between the age of 13 to 16, parents determine where is the right time for them to have access to a phone, for example. So yes, parents can make that decision for their children. Coming back to the validation point, again, very right. As adults as well, we're seeking for that. So are we setting unrealistic expectations for ourselves? And that's what we are modeling for our children. So if we as adults are modeling a behavior, of course the child's going to pick up on that. However, if you want to have the right balance and understanding and inculcate healthy habits, then you need to have that conversation with the child on what is the purpose of having a screen. You can have the screen for, let's say 2 hours in a day or 3 hours in a day based on the age of the child. But what is the purpose? Are we just doom scrolling? Is there, some meaning attached to that screen in your hand? Or, there are pros and cons, like you said. It can be educational, it can be informative, but at the same time, it can be damaging as well if you're not monitoring that screen usage.
How to monitor that?
I think parents have to be involved in what the child is doing. Like I said, understand what is it going to be used for. If you have that understanding, you can set clear outlines for your child. Like, okay, you want to watch TV. You can watch an hour of TV after you come back from school. Okay, as they grow up, they want to have WhatsApp with their friends. Okay, you can have, the phone to be used for quick communication and things like that. Once in a while, just scroll through, people they are talking to. Have a conversation with them on, what is it that you need your phone for? More in a curious way rather than in a controlling way. So, like,
or interrogating way, perhaps.
Yeah.
Or
Yes.
being CID in a way.
Yeah, don't overwhelm them, but have more of a safe space around it, that I will let you have it. It's not that I'm trying to put a restriction, but it's for your own safety, because there are bad people out there.
Yeah.
And I want you to be safe.
And that is a way of building trust, I believe. The big F word, fear. I remember my mom would put me in the corner so that I could not run, and then she would beat me because otherwise I would run. And then I grew up, and then she would beat me, and then her hands would hurt. But I would still fear her.
Yeah.
Dubai as a place is perhaps one of the safest places in the world because we fear the police. I think fear is one of the most brilliant and strongest emotion there is.
Yeah.
There is this saying that इंसान जिंदगी में टाइगर से सिर्फ एक बार सबसे तेज भागता है जब वो उसके पीछे पड़ा रहता है क्योंकि डर है. When it comes to fear, instilling fear tactically in a child, when it comes to disciplining them, when it comes to creating that factor of obedience, creating that factor of consistency, using fear, is that correct?
Yeah, and I think in today's world, how you use fear is very important. So yes, back in the days, parents were beating their children, and that was their way. In today's world, you can't do that because let's be honest, children have more awareness than parents,
Yeah,
and
they'll
they.
call the child protection, they'll call the
Yeah.
police, then what will you do?
My nephew does that. They live in the UK, and he's like, Mama, if you hit me, I'm going to call the police. So they have that
She
awareness.
changed your diaper.
Yeah, at
You're the
5 years
reason. She's the reason you exist. Gonna call the police on her, not
Yeah.
allowed.
So now I think parents are living in fear of their children. That's what's happened now. कि उनको डर लग रहा है कि भाई ये कुछ ना कर दे.
गलत जगह जा रहा है फिर.
So I think, like you said, handling them tactfully is something. कि नहीं, आपको फिर भी you need to maintain decorum. You need to have discipline, because discipline is something that will be helpful across different areas in your entire lifetime. If you are disciplined, you're disciplined at work, you're disciplined in school, you're disciplined in your external community. So giving that direction to children, that this is not something that we just want you to do, but this is a life skill that we are preparing you for. And
Okay.
it starts here.
3 things that your parents did to discipline you and to instill fear, what were those?
Now, if I say what my parents did, it would, be a little different from what I would propagate.
Let's start with your parents,
Yeah.
and then we'll go to what would you
Yeah. So, okay, 3 things. I would say discipline in the way of a clear focus on what you want to do in life.
But how did they do it? How did they make you do it? Because
Yeah.
let's go back in time. Like, I know that I was beaten up. Were you given that you will be grounded? You won't be given any gaming time or TV time or
Yeah.
anything like that. What were the things that they used as tools to discipline you?
Yeah, so I would say it was always argumentative. So I would ask for a reason and a rationale, that why? Why can I not go out at night? Or why do I have to do this? And if I were convinced with the answer, it would work better. So if it was something that, okay, if my mom is saying you cannot go for a sleepover because we don't know the family and we don't trust them and things like that, it would sit with me that, okay, fine, tomorrow, next time I'll go with someone whom you know. So then I'm having my way and they are also in a safe
Space
Yeah.
in their heads, and they are at peace.
Yeah.
Never thought about sleepovers as yet. Oh my God, that's going to be another thing, right?
Yeah, so there are a lot of those kind of things that I would always ask for a rationale. कि आप क्यों कह रहे हैं ऐसा? It doesn't make sense to me.
So you gotta
even then-
spend time with your kids to explain it to them that, see, this might happen, this might happen. That's the reason we are worried.
Yeah.
And that communication is super important.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you would do with your kids as well in time to come, correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what we'll do is we'll show a clip of a scene from this series called Adolescence, which obviously has triggered a lot of parents, kids, although there have been many, many shows before that that have been around the same theme. But somehow this got traction. And here's the clip.
I am good, Mom. You were a good dad, a great dad. But we made them.
So if my dad made me, how did I make that?
What are the signs that parents need to look for or look out for to understand that their child is going through something which is problematic or which is giving them signs ki, he's going through a mental distress?
Yeah.
And I think that would be really helpful.
Yeah, so in terms of these challenges, mental health challenges, there are a lot of signs and symptoms to look out for. So we start with like physical signs and symptoms. So if you see that your child is suddenly losing weight, their sleep patterns are disturbed, their appetite is affected, they're either eating too much or not eating enough. So these would be some of the physical signs and symptoms to look out for. Then there are certain emotional and psychological aspects to look out for as well. So if you see that your child, so any sudden change, in behavior. So if the child is fine one day and the next day suddenly they are displaying certain characteristics that are very out of normal for that individual, is something to look out for. So for example, losing interest in daily activities or just losing interest in anything for that matter that used to be pleasurable for that particular child before. So if they like drawing, all of a sudden they are withdrawing from certain creative expressions that they used to enjoy. or if they have some changes in their friendships, if they have changes in their daily routine activities as well. So sudden erratic behavior. So, getting angry all of a sudden on something, and that escalates. So earlier it would be like mild irritability or like arguments, but if they're escalating their emotions from a 0 to 100 all of a sudden, and you're not able to pinpoint why that is happening, again, something to dig in deeper. I always say monitor your child. So in the series, the mom would say that he would come back from school and he would be in his room the whole time. So probably she was not aware of the kind of activities that he was engaging in. And he also did not have that open communication channel with mom and dad. He seemed to be a child who was, just living in his own mind and just interacting with peers and friends at school. So if we are able to get to the child's world, to understand what is happening in their world in a comfortable space, then that kind of gives you an outlook into what is happening in their psyche. How do they see the world? How do they interpret what's happening around them? So again, communication is key, but at the same time, having that space for your child and making that a consistent routine. That yes, every day we have to have dinner together, or we have to spend some time together on a weekend in a very casual kind of a setting. They shouldn't feel that, oh, I have to now sit with my parents and talk. Again, coming back to the question you asked me, till date, I feel that, I have that space with my parents to talk about anything and everything. If there is something that is bothering me, if it is, an achievement, everything, make space for everything.
That's the kind of trust they built with you.
Yeah.
And that kind of trust and communication is extremely important, being the key word here right now. Now, you told me about, he would go into the room and stay there.
Yeah.
Again, coming to a different kind of parenting. There is one Western aspect of it, there is one Indian aspect of it, or perhaps Eastern, where we smother the child. I do that, and I don't want to change it. But I still want to know your opinion on this, because they say that the child should sleep in different room. Like my daughter is 8 months old, so what I do is I still rock her to sleep. And I would go home, I would kiss her feet, I would hold her tight, and I would be with her for as long as I can, for as much as I can. And there are people who say that don't do that because that might not be good. And I'm unable to understand why.
I would like to speak to who are these people and why are they saying that?
This helps in brain development, correct?
Yeah, that's what. Who are these people who are saying don't do that?
So what they say is put your child in a different room to sleep. That's the Western versus Eastern, and let there be sleep training.
Yeah.
Let there be all of that. Do you think it's necessary?
No, I feel that physical connection is very healthy. And especially at such a young age where they seek that physical comfort, where they seek that security. Why do you swaddle your child? Because of that touch, right? Because of that tightness in the way they are wrapped around. And that's how they have felt for 9 months in the mother's womb. So why are you taking that away from them all of a sudden? So in my opinion, yes, there are cultural differences when it comes to collectivist and individualistic cultures, but there are a lot of positives when it comes to showing physical affection, being comfortable with physical affection. And that ties down to how the child will grow up to be later in their romantic relationships. Are they comfortable with physical touch? Are they comfortable in, being confident in their bodies? So all of that definitely has an impact on your attachment style with the child as well. Are you setting them up for a secure attachment style by providing this physical reassurance and giving them all of the secure forms of touch and affection? So in my opinion, yes, definitely at this young age, it sets them up for a lot of secure attachment later on.
So when it comes to the progression of it, from 3 months, I've been told that make them listen to Gayatri Mantra, make them listen to Hanuman Chalisa. It's got good energy. The chants, the mantras, it really helps at the subconscious level. And then I was listening to a conversation from you only where you said that at 25 years of age, your brain is still growing till 25 years.
Yeah.
What is the most important patch in this, or every single patch and journey is equally important? What is the thing that we need to pay the most attention on?
I think emotions. So emotional intelligence is something that if you are able to provide that for the first 7 to 8 years of the child's life, then you know that they have a strong, independent outlook towards life and any adversities that life throws at you. So if
So they
you,
need to be exposed to all kind of emotions.
Yeah,
Correct? Because
yeah.
if, say, jealousy kicks in at 15 and they don't know how to handle it,
yeah.
they will never be like they will react.
Yeah. So we start slow and age appropriate. So for young children, we start with like happy, sad, angry, disgusted, and things like that. And then we move on to more sophisticated and advanced emotions like jealousy, envy, embarrassment, shame, pride, ecstatic, and things like that. So again, schools also hold some responsibility in developing this emotional literacy for children, but parents can do the same thing as well. So I don't know if you would have watched the movie Inside Out.
Yeah.
So again, these are all the ways in which we are educating the parents and the children.
Yeah.
Because all forms of emotions are important to, firstly, you have to accept them and you have to acknowledge them as well. That it's okay, these emotions are part and parcel of life. But when does it become maladaptive? When is your sadness and your upset coming to a point where you're ruminating or you're brooding? Then that is something that is problematic and we need to dig into that deeper.
Again, those signs that we spoke about.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to being a part of this country, being here, hoping that my child would go to the same school as an American, European, Australian guy is going to or girl is going to, I am instilling the values of my culture, my tradition in it. When it comes to being friends with such people from different countries with different culture and different values, how do we stop them from taking what not needs to be taken when it comes to the values and culture, the way they speak to their parents? Is there a check on it? And if there is, then how do we do that?
Again, it depends on the parents' outlook towards it. I think one thing that we can teach our children is respect and value for our own and another person's culture. And if we are able to attach these values, that we come from this cultural system where we have to do 1, 2, and 3, and they come from a different system where they have to do, X, Y, and Z, then that creates that understanding within children that this is what I am expected to do and this is what another friend of mine is expected to do. And I've seen that with young children, when you teach them, they're more open. They're like a sponge, right? So if whatever you teach them, they will take it. And they have an open mind full of innocence and curiosity. So if you tell them that, okay, we have to listen to, we have to pray or whatever, they will do it. And then that becomes like a benchmark that this is the way I pray, this is the way someone else prays. So it's the same common aspect, praying, having some form of spirituality, or like you said, on an energetic level. So even if they meet a friend who doesn't belong to any, religious group, but does believe in, these kind of energy sources and a higher power, they will still be able to relate with that yes, everyone has it differently. This is how they do it. This is how we do it. Just as simple as, celebrating certain festivals.
Yeah.
So one celebrates Diwali, one celebrates Eid, one celebrates Christmas, or the kinds of food we eat. And these are things that children relate to quite easily.
Absolutely.
That, okay, this is what I eat. I use my fingers to eat.
Yeah.
But the other person needs like a fork and a spoon to eat.
Yeah.
And there is a school that I closely work with where there are teachers who come from an individualistic culture and a different upbringing. They don't understand that, a lot of Indians eat with their hands, and they go like, but this child doesn't know how to use cutlery. It's like, because he's never used cutlery. And it's okay,
Yeah.
So,
I think it's okay is the key word that we need. It's okay.
it's fine.
It's
He
fine.
likes paratha.
Yeah.
How you can't eat paratha with a fork and a spoon, right? So again, people like myself and my community who work with schools need to educate that to teachers in those kind of setups, that it's fine. He likes to eat with his hands because we have a lot of finger food. So those cultural nuances is something that is gaining a lot of awareness in a world like the UAE, and it's respected.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a global pot. Let's conclude this. If you can give us 3 tips, I know, can't generalize it, but top 3 things for parents to look out for when they are raising a child, one by one.
I work a lot with developmental assessments, right? So I always talk about, firstly, emotional development, because I feel that is the ground for all other developmental areas. So if your child has a good understanding of emotional development of their self, so if the child is able to identify their own emotions and the emotions of others, I think that will take them a long way. And sometimes parents need to educate the child on that. So there are 3 things that we do, like we identifying emotions. So firstly, tell the child, this is how I feel, this is how you feel. Then interpreting emotions. So again, interpreting your emotions. I feel sad, hence I want to cry. And it's okay. I feel joyous and I want to jump. You know, kids need that. They need that language. They need that emotional literacy. And lastly, respecting others' emotions by trying to be non-judgmental to the best of one's ability. So I think if you have that, that is going to make you a successful individual, because I feel emotional understanding is something that is just declining. You know, people are losing empathy. People are not listening actively to each other. They're not inculcating this good habit in their children. So I think if you're able to teach empathy and emotional understanding to your child, that will definitely take them a long way. They will be successful not just in schools, they'll be successful in their later careers. They'll have good interpersonal relationships with their friends later on when they, decide to be with someone as partners. And
No,
across the
absolutely.
board.
See, one child can change the world. Today we have so many leaders who were children before. They are not going in the right direction. And that is sad.
Yeah.
I wish their parents got this kind of understanding
Yeah.
to train them properly. And I think, right now is right now to start a new process to make a better world. And it starts at home.
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you,
Means a
Tarun.
lot that you took your time out. And 3 things when it comes to the emotional understanding is something that you need to take care of as parent. And I definitely need to take care of for my child to make sure that, she's happy. If she's happy, and if she's sad, I need to understand it and be vocal about it.
Yeah.
It was quite insightful. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you, Tarun.
Thank you.
City 1016.